Shockingly, Jet fans are overreacting to something that doesn't really matter at all. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we'll be talking about 40 times for wide receivers and for some reason Jet fans overreacting to Treylon Burks' time. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, you could also subscribe to the Just Jets podcast. You can call in, leave me your question, and I will try to get to it on the show. So Treylon Burks ran a 4.55 40-yard dash, and Twitter exploded because, well, that time must suck, and that means you can't possibly draft him in the first round. I don't understand why is that the drill that we want to discuss? And I'm not saying 40 times don't matter for every single position. Just wide receiver isn't one where I can oh, yep, I undraftable because of that. And actually we have some numbers that kind of hint at guys running under a certain amount of time not really being effective in the NFL. We'll get to that in a second, but we have to keep in mind context. Treylon Burks is 6'2", 225. So when you see Chris Olave, his official time ended up being 4.39. He's a $187. And Garrett Wilson ran a 4.38. He's a $192. So that's like a 30-pound difference at least. And yeah, he's going to run 0.2 seconds slower, or even less than 0.2 seconds slower, but he's carrying an extra 30 pounds. They're not the same style of receiver. And just because someone runs fast in a straight line for 40 yards doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a good or a bad receiver at this level. For instance, like I said, the comparison of guys who, everyone loves the idea of someone running under a 4.3. Oh, they have blazing speed. That's awesome. Is it? Is it? Because I have some guys these are players who ran under 4.3 at the wide receiver position. Dante Stallworth, Marquise Godwin, Jacoby Ford, J.J. Nelson, Henry Ruggs, John Ross, Rondell Moore, Jerome Mathis, Anthony Schwartz, Dre Archer. Have any of those guys turned into an absolute stud at the NFL level? No. And that's okay. These combine things are fun and it's cool to track and compare different guys, but I've seriously seen people change their opinions on these wide receivers or use this as a stance that one wide receiver is better than the other because of a 40 time. Come on. And I love Garrett Wilson. I don't want this to turn into a Matt hates Garrett Wilson episode. I don't. I think if he was the pick at 10, that would be awesome. But we're not. Treylon Burks is off our board because of his 40 time. Comparatively, AJ Brown's a pretty good comp size-wise at 6 foot 226, where Burks is 6'2", 225. So, relatively similar body types. Brand ran a 4.49. We're talking about 0.06 second difference between those two. And again, just because you run fast doesn't necessarily correlate to anything, really. I'll run through Cooper Kupp, one of the best wide receivers in football, if not the best wide receiver in football this year, ran a 4.62 and is significantly lighter than Treylon Burks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was pretty good for the Detroit Lions this past year. 4.61, Hunter Renfrow, smaller slot receiver, 4.59. Dwayne Bowe, hey, he's 221 pounds. That's probably pretty similar body type. 4.58. Laviska Shenault at 227 pounds ran a 4.58. Alan Lazard at 227 pounds ran a 4.55. Brandon Marshall at 229 ran a 4.54. Marquise Colston at 224 ran a 4.54. Eric Decker at 217 ran a 4.54. Juju at 215. He's even a little bit smaller. A slot guy, 4.54. Gabriel Davis is pretty damn good, right? 216 pounds, 4.54. Mike Williams, the bigger body guy, 221. He's 221 pounds, 4.53. What are we doing? Why are we concerned about a 40-yard dash time for a wide receiver who is in a small little speedster? Did anyone anticipate that he was going to run faster than a 4.5? I don't quite understand. At his body type, that's more than fine. That's pretty quick for his body. As I just ran through, how many comparables are in the same range as him? And yes, when he runs with the football, it's not going to be his blazing speed is what gets you. No, he's a physical runner with the ball. And he's a playmaker. So I don't get it. Based on his body type, I just don't understand what you were expecting. And I don't know how anyone could put this much value on the 40-yard dash. There's a lot more important things. And like, I don't know, go off the film. That's my best advice to you, is just don't make decisions based on an event where they're in shorts and a t-shirt. You could use it as a tool. I'm not saying don't use anything, but especially for straight line speed, running in a straight line for 40 yards. What does that prove to you? Did you think he was going to be a deep threat burner? Because clearly, no, that's not his strength. So I don't know. I don't get it. It bothered me. I just didn't understand why people were like dunking on Treylon Burks because he ran in the 4.5s. I'm going to leave off once again saying the same thing I've said this whole video. What were you expecting? Someone that size to run. Does it matter that someone that size ran at that time? What are we doing, folks? That's going to do it for me. Let me know your comments down below in the comments or on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. What do you think? Am I being too lenient with Treylon Burks and what I'm saying makes sense? Hopefully it's the latter there, but please subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.